Welcome to Talking Halos. This is Derek Ciapola with Negative Nate. Yes, I just call him Negative Nate. I forgot his last name. I'm not gonna lie to you. And Jared, poor guy, Jared Timms. Guys were right. We were right. Not to pat ourselves on the back because I wish I was wrong. I think Jared wishes he was wrong. Nate, I'm not so sure. But
I still wish I was wrong.
Okay, just checking. We all called it 2 out of 3. Jared and I nailed it, and Nate was right too because he called the series win, but not for the sweep.
Yeah, I had sweeping.
Oh man, I guess having watched those games, a little bit frustrating, but it was a close series. Jared, what was your thoughts? Or what were your thoughts?
I thought it was a good series. Like I said from the beginning, I'm a big pitching matchups guy though too. I thought, game 1, the Angels came out swinging. They got to Hunter Brown early and often. They found a way to get on base against Hunter Brown, which is the key. If you got Hunter Brown out of the stretch, you were going to hit him. He was just getting him out of the stretch. Very, very good in the windup. So when they were able to do that, they got to him early. They hit with runners in scoring position, which was huge for them. And end up taking that game, which was pretty sweet. You get to game 2, and one bad inning yet again kills the Angels. However, probably should have hit a little bit better, but you don't expect much. Framber Valdez, the ace, decides to just absolutely shove. The Angels do have a tough time against those ace-like pitchers. We mentioned before Luis Castillo. Who else have they faced? Martin Perez didn't really shove too much, but Nathan Eovaldi did. Ace-type guy, ace-type stuff. So yeah, it's tough when you're facing one of the best pitchers in baseball, but you got to find a way to score a little bit more often. And then game 3, I thought it was, again, another fun game. I thought they battled the entire time. I thought they were going to come back there at the end. Just came up a little bit short, but they played the Astros well. Shake your head. They can't beat a good team still. Is that fair to say?
Well, that's what they're proving. Nate.
Can I say it was an ugly series? A lot of errors, a lot of strikeouts. It's true. Like, they struck out 28 times the last 2 games. I think they had at least 1 error in every single game. If I remember correctly, it was 4 errors in the 3 games. And they don't look crisp and clean on the defensive side. I know you want to start to point to other things, but they don't look fundamentally sound. It really does look that way. And to beat good teams, to beat teams that have as much talent, if not more talent than you, you've got to be able to do the little things correctly. And you've got to be able to put the ball in play. You've got to be able to make the play when the ball is put in play. And you've got to be able to get outs when you need it to. And it just felt like the pitching didn't bail out the defense didn't bail out the pitching, and the offense certainly didn't bail anyone out with all their strikeouts. So really, really good win for the first game, though. Coming back and beating the Astros bullpen, that's huge. The Astros pay a lot for their bullpen. Montero, Presley get paid. Stanek's usually pretty good. Like, they got a pretty good pen that they pay. Abreu gets paid. Like, they got a bunch of guys that get paid in that back end of the pen. So for the Angels to come back and win that one, that was huge, and especially to chase Hunter Brown early, you would think that it would affect the series a little bit more, but Framber Valdez coming out and throwing the way he did, and then Javier to throw the way he did as well. 6 innings out of Javier, and I think it was it 8 out of? Was it 8 out of Framber? I was shocked
he should have
finished
if they didn't go out. He should have finished it, but they scored a couple runs there.
And I was shocked he went back out for the 8th, because I was looking at it. It was like, okay, it's like 9-1-2. Framber's kind of dominated, like, just kind of shake his hand. He's done after 7, and he went back out there. And again, they set up the series correctly by getting to Hunter Brown and making it tough on the Astros. But then the Astros got that big ace start out of a guy to just be like, hey, I'm going to put the team on my back. I'm going to go 8 innings, turn the ball over to the closer, or turn over to a reliever, because they didn't have a closer that one. But turn over to one guy, finish this thing off, and let's move on. And that's kind of the one thing the Angels have been missing this year, I think, is like, when the bullpen needs a day of rest, they haven't had that big start. And I don't know, it just felt like it was an ugly series. they played with Houston, but as I've been saying all year long, Houston's missing their key guy. Like Yordan Alvarez is the best hitter, but Jose Altuve is what makes that team go. And so they're missing that guy. They're missing a couple guys on the mound. It's gonna be tough to catch Houston. Don't let Houston get hot because you got to catch up to them.
Well, Altuve is back soon too. Like he's getting close, and
He is
then
close.
And also that sooner or later they're going to solve the pitching problem. They have enough in the minors to make some moves to eventually get pitching if they don't get enough back soon. So you got to think
McCullers is coming back soon.
Well, I mean that's washed up. Okay, I think what bothers me actually is the fact that they had the chance to win this series, even with everything you guys are pointing out. It gets to the bottom of the ninth inning in the last game of the series. They have 0 outs. You got 2 guys on, and within a matter of just a couple minutes, 3 outs. Bad at bats, quick swings on from Rengifo and Urshela. Was it Urshela? Yeah,
Thaiss and Urshela.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go, especially with in that lineup where you need good at bats. You already have their closer kind of on edge there, and all you really needed was 1 base hit. All you needed. And you couldn't even take a pitch. And that bothered me. That bothered me a lot. Like you did enough to battle back and get yourself in the game and give yourself a chance to win the series. And what I'm hearing you say, Nate, is I agree with you. It is poor fundamental baseball. And when you're darn near 40 games in the season, those things should be cleared up. And I think one of the things that really bothers me is this is supposed to be an analytics team, right? And this is Perry's thing, right? You're going to put together a team that's built around analytics. Well, analytics would also will be baseball players who are doing the right thing, right? And that's what you're building around. But it seems like they don't, as a whole, do the right thing. And that to me leads to poor management, poor roster construction. And I mean, I hate to be the Debbie Downer there. I'm not, because I do believe more in line with what you're talking about, Nate. I believe more than you, Nate, about the ceiling for the team. I think there's talent there. They're deeper than last year. There's a lot to like in terms of what they have on paper, but it's not coming together the way you'd like it to, and it needs to real quick. So I just don't like this feeling that they're not fundamentally sound. Like you kept Phil Nevin when he, in my view, didn't really do a whole lot to earn the job. And look at him. So those are my thoughts on, and I hate it because the next 2 series are a Cleveland team that always smashes them in Cleveland, and then they go to Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore's 24-13, very good, and Baltimore has not hit their stride yet. They got guys like Gunnar Henderson.
Terrible.
And Grayson Rodriguez not pitching well.
He has not pitched well yet.
These guys wait till they get in that summer heat and they actually figure it out, and they will figure it out. I mean, Baltimore has not hit their stride yet, and they're 11 games over 500. That's it, man. I would not want to be in the AL East. AL East, last place team is the Yankees at 21-17, 4 games over 500. So where's it take us, guys? Jared, where's it take us?
I mean, just to go back a little bit more here, the Angels bullpen didn't give up a run in the Astros series, which was good to see. Gave them chances to win every single time. Pitching gave the Angels a chance to win. They had no reason to win in that 4th game with Griffin Cannon pitching the way he did, but the bullpen came in, shut it down, gave them a chance to win. So they're getting chances to win, right? Mm-hmm. You got to find a way to capitalize on it. And it comes down to, I don't want to keep beating this horse, but mentally not being there, and that's I think where, I mean, Nate, you mentioned it, the defensive side of stuff. That's one of the first things that breaks down when it comes to the mental side of the game is defense. I think, You know, like you can go up there, and hit. You don't need to think too much to hit. You don't need to think too much to pitch. But when it comes defensively, that game gets real quick in your head. When you're standing out there at shortstop, or you got to play, and they got to figure out which base to throw to when you're in center field. So, yeah, I think that it just kind of proves exactly what we're saying, which is this team is just not mentally capable. Now, you're looking at the Cleveland series, and I don't think we're quite there to get there yet. I kind of like it. I know you sent the stat. I think, what are they, 1-21 in their since 2016,
All right.
something like that.
Oh, God. They are 1-21 since 2015.
That's
They
brutal.
haven't won a game there since 2018
That's brutal. That's
in
tough.
Cleveland. And I know you're feeling okay about it, but I'm looking at these pitching matchups and going, oh dear gosh. Okay, so Friday's game, Tyler Anderson at Logan Allen. Logan Allen is 101, 270 ERA. He's a darling in the organization right now here in the area. Tyler's ERA 5.4. It's not, and he's been so up and down. Saturday's game, I'll be there for Saturday. That is Detmers at 0-3 at a 5.10 ERA against Cal Quantrill, 2-2, 3.89, which is weird. Quantrill keeps doing it every year, despite all of his underlying numbers being inconsistent with the actual end game ERA. It's very strange. And then the last game, I'll also be there for that one. It's early. You guys will be just waking up. That's Patrick Sandoval against Tanner Bybee, and I expect Tanner Bybee has been pitching well until his last start, got rocked a little bit, brought his ERA up, but he's been dominant otherwise. A stronger prospect than Logan Allen, and Sandoval has got to take him. I mean, that's a game I expect a lot of Angels getting rest. It's on Sunday.
I do have one question for you guys though about the Astros series. So we're really hammering game 3. It feels like Ohtani hits the home run to put it to 1. They get first and second, nobody out. Do you pinch hit for Drury and lay down a bunt, and do you pinch run for Rendon at second? I mean, you got Theis, the lefty, who's probably going to hit the ball in the air, right? We've seen him hit the ball hard lately. You're not expecting him to strike out. You are expecting him, if he hits the ball on the ground, to double play. So you probably are trying to. Do you think Brett Phillips is on the bench? Like, isn't he there to pinch run? He can probably lay down a bunt. Like, that's probably all he can do offensively. Rengifo, he could probably get down a bunt. I would hope so. Like, if he can't, we got problems. He could pinch run too. Like, worst case, you could have Rengifo run for Rendon, which is probably a little bit of an upgrade speed wise, and Brett Phillips can get a bunt down for Drury. I don't know. I just felt like the question needed to be asked because I think we've hammered Phil Nevin a lot, and
well, we talked about.
Well, you're asking for Phil Nevin to get hammered some more by asking questions.
Well, no, you're playing the analytics game there. You have a better chance of scoring with the runner on second base than you and no outs than you do.
But they say you have a better chance of scoring with a runner on second and third and 1 out than with runner on third and 1 out.
Again, yeah, no, that's fair. I'm a little more old school here. I would have liked to seen them get the bunt down, but have the Angels tried to bunt this year
on purpose?
But that goes back to the underlying complaint that we all have.
What is Brett Phillips good for then?
No, but that's what I'm saying, dude. The fundamental complaint we all seem to have, and it's a broken record at this point, is they're not a fundamentally strong team. And if that's the case, what are you doing? You're supposed to be a strong analytics-based team. What are you doing, management? This has been you're right. I was thinking, well, okay, well, you know what? Why not put a bunt down? Why not? Why so impatient at the play if you're not going to put a bunt down?
And then the other question, if we're going to talk analytics here, like Brandon Drury, if you take out the Oakland series, dude's hitting about 190. Like, if you're honest with yourselves, you take out the Oakland series, which Oakland is a AA team, and that's probably an insult to most AA teams. He's hitting about 190 if we take out the Oakland series. And we're going to let that guy hit with no speed, with first and second, no out, and hope he gets the ball in the air. I know he's been successful to get some RBIs and things like that, but you're going up against an elite closer in Ryan Presley, who's Team USA's closer, who is lights out for them. And he's been lights out for Houston until he gave up the home run for Ohtani. Like, I don't know. I just felt like you're struggling. You got to beat a team who you have to beat Houston. Like it's a must-win series against a team who has really haunted you since coming over to the AL West. Like when you have a shot to win the game, you gotta do whatever you can. And I don't know. I just felt like maybe they didn't handle the situation as best as they possibly could have.
But then that's why you lose.
That's fair.
I mean, let's be honest.
And you wonder why my ceiling is so low.
But on the same token, I mean, just to feed a little bit of positivity here, at least they're playing the Astros now. You know, 2 years ago, a year ago, I mean, the Astros, it was a given. They were annihilating the Angels every series. I mean, you remember these games, 2019, 2020, 2021.
Well, I was going to say 2020, I think we actually did decently against the Astros.
I mean, I'm just remembering
that one doesn't really count, but
in Mexico, I'm remembering them putting up 10, 15. So at least they're competitive in there. And that's a testament to the improvement in talent too. And of course, Houston's injuries. But let's be honest about this. Any other year, we would probably be excited about it. Hey, they're playing the Astros, are giving them problems. Not this year, because we know what's coming come July. We know, and that means then you know how big the stakes are with what's coming. So that's the frustrating part. Oh yeah, they're playing teams better, but they're not where they should be.
Just figured I'd ask.
I mean, no, it's a fair. That's why they're losing, because they're not doing the things that you would hope they would do, and it makes me so nostalgic for the days when they did these things well. We can complain till we're blue in the face about the end of Mike Scioscia's time there, but you knew during his tenure, at least at times, they did these things well, especially early on. And you still there's a missing of that. There's a missing overall. I wish baseball would go back to some of these great things that we did. I think we're seeing some of it with the pitch clock, the bigger bases causing people to steal more. We're seeing a little bit of it, but Jared, you're awful quiet, man. It's kind of like that creepy guy in the corner who stares at you. Yeah, that's what you're doing right now. It's kind of weirding me out. What's up?
The last time, I mean, when you set expectations correctly, I'm not too disappointed. I thought they played the Astros well, especially for the Astros the way they are. I mean, they won the World Series last year. They had chances to win. They had chances to win. I'm looking at the upcoming series. I like it again. I like it, should I say. I know that Angels haven't played well in Cleveland, but again, another fun matchup. Got a lot of analytical darlings. I mean, if you want to continue to harp on the Astros series, we can talk about Shohei Ohtani and him getting sweeper happy if you really want to do that. But I like to look ahead. We can talk about trading Shohei Ohtani. You want to talk about trading Shohei Ohtani?
No, we've done that enough, haven't we?
Let's go to the Cleveland series.
Well, real quick, I did want to note this what is off on Shohei, because he hasn't looked as good of late.
What he just said.
So it's a sweeper happy.
He's become basically a 2-pitch pitcher.
But he's not.
So why
he shouldn't be, but that's what it feels like.
By the way, somebody asked what a sweeper was on Twitter, and I figured they watch the show. I'd say it. It's kind of like a sideways curveball is the best way to explain it, in a sense, I think.
It's a slider curveball.
Slider that sweeps.
More depth to it than a normal slider, but a little bit harder than a normal curveball.
How do you compare it to a slurve?
Very similar.
Like I would have called, when I scouted out Chase Silseth, I said slurve. I give a lot of guys that slurvy comp, and it's a lot of people have turned more into that sweeper, is what you want to say. So I consider it like a sideways curveball, harder sideways curveball. Depends. you really want to get into it, it depends on your spin efficiency and if you're spinning it well or if you're not spinning it well, and how much depth it's given and things like that. So it just depends on how you want to categorize it. I do like the term sweeper though, for those wondering. I know a lot of people don't like it, but like you do need to classify sliders differently because there are so many different sliders. I mean, we talked to I'm gonna forget his name. Nate, what's his name?
Oh,
I'm gonna
Man, why can't you remember names?
Lance
Man?
Brodowski.
Lance Brodowski. Yep, he's with the Cubs. Absolutely love talking to him about Reed Detmers, but yeah, I mean, he's just such an analytical guy there. But yeah, that's said I like the sweeper, but I think he's getting a little sweeper happy. I don't trust anybody else to call pitches though at the moment for him, so he can continue to call his own pitches. I think that's a big thing too. I think
that's where you
do you really want to, I mean, if you really want to get into
No.
it, I think he's saving a little bit. I think that he's showing just enough for teams. And then, once he's off the Angels, I think that I know that's going to sound really, really bad, but I think that's really what we're kind of getting into here. I think I don't want to say he's given up on the Angels, but it definitely feels like that. Or he's a little bit hurt in the fingers. I think we saw it last start where somebody was saying that he might have a little bit of a blister and he can't throw the splitter right now. That's tough too, because the splitter is arguably the best pitch in baseball, and now he has the second best pitch in baseball, which is this slurve that he's throwing that's stupid good. But yeah, he's kind of gone away from a couple pitches, and I think
maybe it's just tunnel vision. Maybe you fall in love with it, but that to me could be also the result of losing Ohtani, because he seemed to be working well with him, and this trend seems to have picked up since Ohtani went down.
He was still calling his own game with Ohtani, though. It wasn't like Ohtani was calling it.
But just having that guy there you trust, having a guy you could talk it through with, it does matter, even if he still calls his own game. Just look at his numbers since Ohtani went down. They're not the same.
Is one bad inning not the same though?
Yeah, I mean, one bad inning still is one really bad inning. It's enough.
By the way, Savant has his sweeper at 47.5%. Like, that's how much he's throwing it. And the next closest pitch is his fastball at 26.3%. And then everything after that is under 10%. He is literally a 2-pitch pitcher. You're going up there looking at 2 pitches.
That's way too much right now. I mean, they'll figure it out. He's a smart enough guy to figure it out if that's a problem. I hope he's not doing what Nate just mentioned. Back to the Cleveland series, because we got to go. Cleveland series. Pitching matchups, I don't like them, but I don't like them because they're playing Cleveland anyways. What do you want to call it?
The only things I like about this, Jose Ramirez has struggled against lefties this year. We are starting all 3 lefties, which that is the best offensive player on Cleveland. And then you go to the next best offensive player on Cleveland, it's Jimenez, another left-handed hitter. So if you can neutralize those bats, you're going to give yourself a chance, because Cleveland's not typically too offensive. They typically just do the little things correctly, and that's how they score runs. And if you can keep guys off base and keep guys off base for Ramirez and Jimenez, or just take care of Ramirez and Jimenez, you're going to have a shot to win the series. I don't know if they can do that, though. I think I like Cleveland against Anderson. I don't think he throws hard enough for Cleveland to really struggle like Jose Ramirez or Andres Jimenez. I don't think he throws hard enough for him to struggle. But I do like the Sandoval game. I think the Angels could win that one. The Detmers game is going to be up in the air. Is Detmers going to be the guy to throw strikes, or is he going to be trying to strike guys out? I don't know. The way Cleveland battles and takes pitches and makes it hard on him, I'm going to say that Cleveland takes 2 out of 3. I think they win the first 2, and then the Angels win the early one on Sunday.
Thoughts, anyone? Jared? Sorry.
I like it. I like the series. I mean, I think we're going to go all different directions here. I'm with you though, Nate. I think the Angels lose that first game. I'm not in on Tyler Anderson. And I think they're going to really use their bullpen up in that game. I think Anderson might get hit around a little bit. I like the next 2 games. Reed Detmers is due for a good game. Said that about Anderson a couple weeks ago. I think Detmers, this is kind of his, not, I wouldn't call it a breakout game, but I think we see him go deeper into a game, 6-7 innings, and we kind of see him save the bullpen. The Angels win that game. And then fun fact, Patrick Sandoval and Hainer, BB went to the same high school, pitched with each other. I think Sandoval was a senior and BB was a sophomore. And I like Patrick Sandoval again in that. You mentioned as well. I like the matchups coming in. If you neutralize Jose Ramirez and you neutralize Andres Jimenez, you got a chance to win. I think the Angels are going to be able to do that. Though Jose Ramirez plays well, hits well against the Angels, but I'm going to say they take 2 or 3 in Cleveland, and you need to win these games going into Baltimore because Baltimore's a good team this year, but they played well in Baltimore too, so it'll be fun.
The thing about this, I'm just, unfortunately, because I'm not an Indians fan, and by the way, I'm not calling Guardians. If you're all listening, that been here too long, and when you realize that the Guardians' name is because they're named after traffic statues, people, traffic statues, the Guardians of Traffic, idiotic. If they change their name to Spiders, let's talk, because that's who they were before this. Guardians, nah, they're the Indians to me. The thing about, in particular, Logan Allen and Tanner Bybee, pretty much they've been money, with the exception of Bybee's 1 star. Like, they've been very good. They've come up and pitched well, and the Angels haven't seen them yet. They just haven't seen them. So I put that advantage in Bybee and Allen's camp, at least this time around. That they play again out there in Anaheim, that'd be different maybe, but that's a big deal in terms of what these hitters see. And the problem with Quantrill is the guy just gets outs, and that's right now because our stars aren't going deep into games. And you have 3 guys right now who have been rocked. Because when you're talking about the Guardians offense, that whole offense is dreadful right now. They're not hitting for power. The guys who should be hitting, Jimenez, Rosario, are not. And eventually they will. These guys are too good. The Indians always figure it out come July and August. They're always cold this time of year. They will figure it out as the weather gets warmer. But that's why I don't like this series. I don't like the matchups because the Angels aren't going deep in the games. None of our pitchers are going deep. They don't go deep. Guardians have the bullpen. They have all that behind them. It's a serious one for the Guardians. So I'm going Guardians. I'm going Guardians. I'll go 2 out of 3. They'll break the streak with me there. Finally. Hopefully. Maybe. The reason why I was saying that because I've been to 10 straight Angels games up there that have losses.
I think
10 straight. I've not seen an Angels game. I have not seen Angels win in person in over a decade. It's been that
Just
long.
in Cleveland.
Period.
Oh.
I have not seen Angels win in person in over a decade. And most have been in Cleveland. I can tell you when it was. It was 2010 in St. Louis.
The irony of them of Cleveland winning 2 out of 3 and only winning the middle game.
Well, I'm going to be there for the middle game. I'm going to be there for the last
I thought
2.
it was.
I won't be there
it was
night.
the first and the last that you were going to be there for.
I'll be there.
Like, oh,
so
man.
yeah. Watch them win tomorrow night and then lose the last 2. I'm like, what the crap, man? Because this may be the only 2 Angels games I make all year. I digress. Now I'm getting depressed. Thanks a lot, guys. Well, I'm just sad. I want to go home and rock myself to sleep. The way I am home. Nonetheless. Any closing thoughts?
Nope. Go win
Nope.
the series. Go win a series.
Go win a series. Trust me. If this sounds like a depressing podcast, it's not meant to be. I'm going with high hopes that may make it crushed, but I'm hoping this streak ends. We can all celebrate. Oh, by the way, for all you fantasy baseball people, Yuri Perez starts tomorrow. The next big prospect coming up. Big one. Highly regarded. If you haven't picked him up yet and you got room in your roster, go get him. In the meantime, for Jared, for Negative Nate, and for me, have a great one. We're out of here.